Hello again. In this lesson, we're going to dive together in the deep end of one of the elements that matter the most for your training course. And these are emotions. You might be wondering, why do I need to cover a whole lesson on emotions? Well, that's because your emotions are going to have a big impact on your actions. There are 4 major emotions. There are joy, sadness, anger, and fear. And an emotion can be characterized by 2 elements. The first one is its intensity. Am I a little bit happy? Am I really happy? Am I completely bonkers with excitement? So that's its intensity. And the second element is its pleasantness. Am I feeling an emotion that is unpleasant, or am I feeling an emotion that is pleasant? I would like to bring your attention to the fact that the trigger and the cause of an emotion are 2 separate things. The trigger of an emotion can be both external or internal. So they can be external, for example, if something just happened, that is an external trigger, but they can also be internal, with a memory, for example, or with a thought. These are internal triggers. However, the cause of an emotion is always internal. There's an element of history into it, something that is deep in us, and the trigger is going to go and fetch that emotion, but the cause of the emotion is inside of us. And the emotion is going to rise and is going to be experienced by the person. And I really would like you to differentiate the 2, the trigger of an emotion and the cause of it. The interesting thing is, in today's society, there is a tendency to try and avoid the negative emotions. We are expected to show the positive side of our emotions. We are expected to show gratitude and happiness and all these emotions that are in the positive. So we forget that actually what makes a person is the experience of this whole array of emotions. And as an adult, but also as a child and as a teenager, we need to experience those emotions to live our life 100%. The biggest difference between a grown-up and a child, and especially a baby, when it comes to emotions, is that as grown-ups, we have got the ability to regulate our emotions, whereas a child, or especially a tiny baby, they won't be able to regulate their emotions. They need to be given the opportunity to gradually learn to regulate those emotions a little bit at the time. So we're going to have to be very careful when putting a child through some sleep training effectively, to make sure that we don't put them outside of their comfort zone too much at any given time, so that they learn very, very gradually but surely how to develop those coping mechanisms that are going to help them getting that one step further and that one step further. And all of this without ever asking them to implement something that they are not capable of doing. So that's what this course is all about. It's about very gently improving your child's sleep until they have built a good relationship to sleep and have developed all the skills necessary to be an independent sleeper. There is an element that I would like to bring your attention to, and this is called parental attachment. I will talk about parental attachment later on in the course, but right now all I need to explain is that it is an important dynamic that exists between a child and their parent, and that's to make sure that the child is not going to be abandoned by the parent. That's exactly what it means. If a baby or a child feels that when they display a certain emotion, their parent is going to be not receptive, or is not going to look after them in the same way, or is going to shut down, or is going to go away, or is going to do something that jeopardizes the security of the child, then the child, as they grow older, over the weeks and months and years of them living with that parent, they're going to learn that this emotion is not allowed. This emotion is going to put my safety at risk, because when I display it, my parent is going to go, or he's going to get angry, or he's going to shut down. So I'm going to learn to bottle it down. So if we want our children to grow into adults that welcome every aspect of their lives and don't experience feeling incapable or run away from a whole situation, the best thing we can do as parents is to fully respect the emotions that our children display when they're small, so that they learn that, yeah, okay, I can be angry, I can be sad, I can be fearful. This emotion is not a threat to the attachment that I have with my parent. What happened to you in your childhood? Were you allowed to experience all those array of emotions, or were you not? And how does that affect you in your day-to-day life? I'm just putting some light on some things that might have happened. The interesting thing is that we carry on our shoulders a huge amount from our past, and unfortunately it has got an effect on how we parent our children and how we act with them and what we allow ourselves to feel now that we are parents. One of the reasons why I wanted to cover emotions in this module is because a lot of parents who come and see me actually are driven by deep-rooted anxiety. So the fact that their child hasn't been able to deal with their sleep for a month in a row means that the parent is totally driven by fear, and that element of fear has turned into anxiety, and that anxiety is deep-rooted by that point, and that effectively sends the parent into a state of angst. Angst is to fear what depression is to sadness, effectively. And the interesting thing is that it is a different part of the brain that deals with anxiety than the part of the brain that deals with angst. So anxiety will be an emotion that can be passing. So it will be experienced, and then something will come and fix it, and the anxiety will go away. But the state of angst is far more related to survival. It's a different part of the brain that deals with it. It's effectively what we call the reptilian brain. I will go back in explaining the different parts of the brain and how it affects us and how it affects our babies and their sleep, etc. But right now, all I need to explain is that emotions are generally dealt with into a part of our brain called the mammalian brain, which is the limbic system, but security, safety, effectively, is dealt with a part of the brain that we call the reptilian brain. What it needs to feel safe is structure. And unfortunately, when a baby doesn't sleep, then the structure, which is provided by predictability in your life, goes out the window. So without predictability, there is no structure. Without structure, there is no feeling of safety. And when the feeling of safety has gone, then it is the reptilian brain that feels threatened, and all of this goes round and round into a vicious circle. One of my very first purpose in this course is to get you, the parent, back into a state of feeling safe. Until that state of constant fear is disabled, I'm afraid any efforts to get your child to fall asleep or to sleep independently or to stay asleep is going to be totally fruitless, because it's not sustainable in time. Your state of fear is going to come and jeopardize the whole lot sooner or later. So this is it about emotions. I hope you find it interesting, and I'm going to move on to the next lesson.